Portland, Oregon is a smaller, sometimes forgotten city compared to those in California and Washington on the West Coast. It is known for its amazing natural beauty, scenic landscapes, and welcoming atmosphere. However, in the past few years, Portland, as we know it, has morphed into an entirely new being.
The banks were looking for people to build on their lots, and they would lend you the money to build on their lots. And there was a lot of people moving here, still are, and there wasn't enough homes. So I started building in Southeast Portland in 1984, and just kind of kept it going from there. So.
Okay, my name is Don Morissette. I'm 61 years old. I started building homes in 1974 in the Beaverton, Portland area, and I was born in Canada, moved here in 1963, and I've been a carpenter, I've been a builder, I've been elected to public office, and father of four.
It's really becoming unaffordable for a lot of people here, I know that. But we are still the most affordable city on the West Coast.
Well, the changes are significant. We grow based on a plan that was created in the early 90s, or in the late 70s, primarily implemented in the early 90s, which is Senate Bill 100, where we limit the amount of expansion the urban growth boundary can have. So we focus more development inward and less outward. That's created some great opportunities. It's created different types of houses like condominiums and houses close to where people want to shop, work, and other things. That's the positive. Unfortunately, it's also had some negatives. Congestion has grown significantly, and areas outside of that urban growth boundary have experienced large amounts of growth because the people couldn't find the types of houses they were looking for here. So there's pros and cons to both sides of it.
If you're not growing, the city isn't growing, it's dying. And people want to be where there's growth. They want to be where new things are happening. If you're a restaurateur, you want to open a restaurant where it'll be successful. Portland's just going up and up and up. If you look at all these apartments that are going on, they're everywhere, cranes in the sky, all over. That means people are coming in here.
In a lot of ways, it's very good. It shows that people want to be here. It's a nice place to live. Although our congestion's getting worse, it's still a lot less than in a lot of areas. So it shows that Portland's a place that people want to be.
It's always more exciting to have more things happening, more people, more energy in the city. That's why New York City is the best city in the world, just because there's so much energy going on, and that's why people really don't want to live in Cheyenne, Wyoming, because there's not much energy there. So, I mean, that's the difference. So Portland is definitely on the rise, for sure. If you're a city that isn't developing, you're dying. Detroit, for example, is the example everybody uses. People are leaving. I go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania a lot. It's a beautiful city. It's much like Portland. It's really cool. It's not really, there's no cranes in the sky. It's not developing. People are leaving there.
I personally think it's good. I think the more building up and keeping people close in is better than sprawl. In theory, with a lot of tall buildings going in around us, we should have more customers. I don't know that it is really directly translatable to us or not, but theoretically it should be good.
But I think about 60% of the people, somewhere between 50 and 60% of the people here own homes. They're doing quite well. They have the benefit of appreciation, and when they go to sell their home, they sell it for a lot. They'll reinvest it for something that's a lot as well. But they're pretty well insulated from the rapid increase in housing prices. But the 40% that are renters are really having a tough time because of that limited supply, and income's not following with what housing costs are. I would argue primarily through regulations, because we have artificial barriers to affordable housing here. Some good though. A lot of people aren't going to be able to participate in one of the biggest ways that people pay for their retirement, home ownership, because they can't afford it.
It's like a lot of things. I think it's got its advantages and its disadvantages. The challenge is how we manage it, how we have managed it, and how we manage it moving forward.
I see it like it is now, newer, because we're tearing down old homes that are worn out, they're leaky and they're smelly, and they don't really live that well. You'll see a lot more new homes in Portland. You'll see more new condo buildings. A lot more new restaurants will happen just because there's more people moving here and there's more demand.
Well, I think it's actually great. I think our city needs to grow and become more diverse.
I think that it's pretty diverse as it is, but growth is always good, right? So.
Well, I think the demand will continue because as Portland is growing, I think a lot of areas are growing. So there's a lot of people that, as I've said before, that want to live here. The challenge is as housing prices go up, one of the reasons people came from California and a lot of the other areas was that we had more affordable housing, less congestion and things like that, and we're rapidly catching up.
I think there's been some positive change with the development. There's a lot of really cool things. I think that it's harder for small businesses to stay in business and they're not able to sustain and grow. So I wish that there were better business planning for those small businesses that are great. There's a lot of food places that I'd like to have disappeared, sadly, but I like all the new changes.
The reality is Portland's changing.
The reality is Portland is 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 changing.